Welcome back to the channel, guys. Thank you for showing up, showing support, love. I really appreciate it. In this video, I'll be talking about Sakamoto Days. I'll try and convince you guys to read this magnificent series off the top of my head. Funnily enough, I already did, but guess what? I forgot to plug the mic in, so I was talking into nothing for probably 15 minutes straight. With that said, I'm gonna go at this again. No more wasting your time. Let's get into it. So first and foremost, I do want to talk about the least obvious thing, which is the plot, the characters, just how good the series is, the messages it promotes, and all that. Everybody knows when you talk about Sakamoto Days, you talk about how good the fights are. Not me. Yes, the fights are great, and I will get to that. I'll show all kinds of fights in the series later on, but I do think this is not only a video to convince people to just read the story, but to read it in my opinion the correct way, in the best way possible. Take the story seriously as you would with most stories, because again, all people do is talk about the fights. Sakamoto Days has our original protagonist, Sakamoto, of course, it's named after him. Basically, he was the greatest assassin of all time. The strongest, greatest, leave that debate in the comments below. But he was once somebody who would just ruthlessly eliminate everybody in his way. He was, again, the best assassin, and he was the best assassin for a reason. He could finish his job in any way possible, any means necessary, no matter what weapon you gave him, under any circumstances. The mission was complete. And one day, he would meet this woman named Aoi, and he would choose to leave the assassin world, get married, retire. You see, he just throws the grenades and gun and make this weird ass face with the baby. And he'd become fat, not old. He's only 27, looking like that. I know that's what being a dad does, and retire. And we see Shin, our other protagonist. I think they really have equal narrative role for reasons I will explain in a little bit. But Shin comes looking for Sakamoto because at first it's to kind of just bring him back into the assassin world, and when Sakamoto refuses, he's placed on a mission to get rid of Sakamoto, but Sakamoto one-shots him and Shin starts to warm up to him. And after this, he saves Shin from the people who were trying to basically get rid of him because he didn't complete his mission. And throughout this story, Sakamoto and Shin get into Gintama sorts of shenanigans, but it soon takes a turn for not the worst necessarily, but just a troublesome turn where Sakamoto, being the GOAT of assassins, gets a bounty placed on his head. Not by just some random person, but by somebody who comes far from his past. And once Sakamoto eventually manages to investigate and confront the person that made this bounty, things just get even more twisted from there on out, and we start to find out a lot about Sakamoto's past and all these other characters who play a role into the past, and the past of other characters that are important that we know of now. And we find out about all these connections that the cast has to one another. And I even theorize that Sakamoto has a connection to the antagonist's right-hand man, because there's I'm noticing their interactions and how they just, but basically Sakamoto is somebody who's given up the life of being a ruthless killer, and all these other characters sort of try to drag him into it, except for his best friend, who actually wants to keep him out of it. And you see all these other characters, specifically the sub-organization that we follow throughout the series as well. They're referred to as the Order. They are one of the three main groups of the series, struggle with their humanity, and so does Kamar, the primary antagonist group that includes the person who put the bounty on Sakamoto's head. And I love that Sakamoto is the character chosen to be in the middle of all of this, because I think chapter 11, let's go to chapter 11, where he defeats his first main antagonist. And he says something sort of, oh no, next chapter. He says something sort of like this. And it seems cheesy at first. People aren't going to take it serious. But he says, back in the day, I used my strength to hurt people too, but I've decided to now use it to protect the people that I love. This is the source of my strength now. And funnily enough, all of these characters in the series wish they had the humanity that Sakamoto has. And the narrative seems to slowly be shifting toward a place where Sakamoto is most likely going to save the people he can save. We see many characters struggle with like they try to all be as ruthless as possible, but they just can't stay in that assassin world because in the end they are still human. Something that the JAA, the Japanese Association of Assassins, they are the leaders of the order. They control the order's actions. They tell the order what to do. The order is like I previously mentioned, a sub-organization of the JAA. In a lot of these characters in the order, if you notice, skip like 30 seconds ahead if you don't want the spoiler, but every character that has left the order in the series has left the order because of their humanity one way or another. Sakamoto left because of meeting Aoi. Hyo left by being killed, which is, he was trying to save people. Nagumo left because of Rion and trying to save Sakamoto and fighting against, Takamura and all that. It's a very beautiful thing. And on the other side, there's Alkamar, who seems to also represent humanity in their own ways, wishing they can be human so bad despite accepting that they are not like the people that they've always watched as children. I really find the story of Sakamoto Days and the foundation of it to be just very, very stunning, because despite all these cool assassins being assassins and doing the coolest thing possible, Sakamoto exists to basically tell the reader, like, this stuff ain't cool. It ain't as cool as it seems. And all these characters, they're basically here to say that, yo, we wish we were Sakamoto. We wish we can just kind of, be with the people we love. And it's even funny because Shishiba almost threatened his position on the order because of his humanity. If Nagumo said he spared Yotsumura, it would have been a problem. People who haven't read the manga have no idea what I'm talking about, so don't worry. You'll find out what I'm talking about later if you do decide to pick up the series. But yeah, that's the best way I can summarize it without spoiling too much, but giving you an idea of what's going on in the series. It's more than just fights. And I guess that was my little, like a mini rant, because too many people say just read this series because of the fights. I never see anybody say read this series because of the plot. There's another subplot that also goes on in the background, and we don't know the conclusion of this subplot, but if you really notice, if you pick up the series, pay close attention to Shin here on the bottom left. We see this character almost every chapter. He's as much of a protagonist as Sakamoto is, but there's this subplot that goes on where we get little hints about Shin's character here and there and everywhere, and you're kind of left to theorize of his origin, because even everything about Shin is very unknown. We don't know too much about him, even almost 200 chapters into the series. I do want to encourage readers to keep note of Shin, because nowadays if it's our fault we missed something and a plot point comes back and we just forgot, we're just gonna call it an ass pull. I don't want that happening to Sakamoto Days. I really love the series, so there's gonna be a lot of stuff happening with Shin in the future. I'm sure of it. Yuto Suzuki never leaves like extra details. It never circles around back to them. Like he'll always finish a plot line. I've really kept note of that as I've read this series twice already. And there's no characters left behind. There's a certain girl that people complain has been left behind. Yuto already has her say in the manga, like, I gotta get stronger, I gotta catch up. It's gonna happen, don't worry. But yeah, that's my whole thing about the plot. I really think that if you do happen to pick up Sakamoto Days, pay attention to it. It's more than just cool fights. It's more than just assassins. There's The series is a treat in every way possible. With that said, let's talk about what most people read it for, and it's the fights. The fights are amazing. There's a fight that I think this one, there's 2 fights I want to talk about. I'm not going to show you too much, but this is a sniper battle. And this is I think this is the only fight in manga where I've seen 2 snipers go at it, and it was simply like amazing. The choreography was so fun. It's never seen anything like it. I really think this is like a Kengan Ashura level fight. And I show you guys to show you that there's more than just close quarters combat in this series. There's all kinds of fights and all sorts of stuff that goes on. And there's another fight in the series where this guy fights by using sports. And if you notice, this is a theme with him because it's very integral to his character, and understanding his character, if you ever wanted to analyze it, make sure take note of this in every character that's apart from the same place that he's from. And they engage in sort of like a fight that revolves around playing sports. And it's just a fun fight. It's very different. These guys are fighting by doing soccer, shot put, sumo, all in one fight. They're swapping between multiple sports. It's a dope fight. And then of course there's the amazing, blade to blade, hand to hand. Every character fights in their own unique fighting style in the series, except for characters that resemble one another one way or another. Like if it's father and son, they fight the same way, which I do like. I think that's a cool detail. If it's father and son, they fight the same way, but except for that, every character has their unique style of fighting that actually suits their personality. Lastly, and most importantly, people, Sakamoto Days is getting an anime. So now's the best time ever to get on to the series. You know what I'm saying? Unless you want to wait 6 months for the anime, but I'm telling you guys, when this series comes out, that Sakamoto Days will last another probably 100 chapters, because I just don't think I have not seen a series that got like an anime after it ended. I have not seen that in a long time. So they're obviously trying to push Sakamoto Days. The anime looks amazing. It looks very well animated. And that's why this series is up next, guys. It has an amazing plot, amazing fights, amazing, deep, intricate characters. Although I wish I could have articulated that better. It's very difficult to just do that off the top of my head. There's a lot of details that you have to remember from this series. More details than most people give it credit for. I really want to stress that this series it's a little more deep than you think. It's not nothing insane like Tokyo Ghoul, nothing super crazy, but there is a level of nuance to all these characters and their conflicts and what's going on in general. With that said, I hope that if you haven't read Sakamoto Days, you choose to before the series gets too long, pause to read. And with that said, man, check out the series. Seriously, man, you're missing out. It's the series, man. Y'all gonna need something to read when Jujutsu Kaisen's done. And Dragon Ball might not come back. There's a chance. I really believe that Dragon Ball manga might not come back because of what's going on with Yoku. If we get the good ending, we have to sacrifice something, and that's going to be the Dragon Ball manga. I'll probably explain why tomorrow. With that said, peace out. Have a great day, guys.